Okay, so initially I made a Twitter thread about the exact same topic, and it went pretty crazy, getting over 5,000 likes and creating a ton of discussion. So I figured it would be a great idea for a video. And since we're on chapter break and everything, I want to see how far I can take this whole YouTuber thing. But it goes without saying that Law has one of the most ridiculous devil fruits in the entire series. Once he creates his room, he basically just becomes a god within it, being able to do borderline anything he puts his mind through. And a lot of the things he can do happen to be abilities of several other devil fruits. So I wanted to list 10 different fruits Law can tap into with the Opiopi no Mi. Of course, Law doesn't have entire access to each fruit, but he has little aspects of each fruit bottled up into one. And before I get to the video, I want to ask you guys to please drop a like. I think it helps these videos get into the YouTube algorithm in regards to just like One Piece content. So it could pop up on like the general feed of like people who are just scrolling YouTube. They might see like, oh, what are 10 different fruits that Law can use with this Opiopi no Mi? Let me just go ahead and watch this video. But if they never get the chance to see it, then they would never watch it. You know, if you guys like this video, it would help it get into that exact spectrum, so it will make it a lot easier for people to see the video. I know most of you guys are going to come from Twitter, and if I don't follow you and you're watching this and you're from Twitter, I want you to comment down below what your name is, like your @ so I can follow you, because I really do appreciate you guys, checking out my videos. These take a lot of work to edit, so if you guys are watching it in its entirety and you're really interested, just comment down below what your @ is. I'm going to follow you, because I've noticed that whenever I follow someone, they get hyped about it for some reason. Like, I don't know why, but just to show you guys appreciation and just how much I really do appreciate you guys taking my video out, comment your name below and I'll follow you. If I already follow you, I mean, thanks for watching it anyways, bro. And without further ado, let's get to the list. So starting off at number 10, we have Van Auger's Warp Fruit. So Van Auger was recently shown, I think it was the last chapter or the chapter before that, to be able to warp different people to different locations and objects as well, I believe. Essentially, he can switch people around. Law has this exact ability with Shambles, but the main difference between Law and Van Auger is that Law's Shambles is limited to objects directly within his room. Van Auger has complete access to any distance, and with him being a sniper, that's an extremely powerful advantage in combat. Like, one of the coolest ideas for what Van Auger could possibly do with his fruit that I've seen is he could shoot you from like the front direction, right? So for example, Van Auger shoots you from the front. He's aiming at your head, and you see it coming using observation hockey, so you attempt to dodge it, but Van Auger's Warp Fruit would allow him to essentially transfer the bullet behind you to where you thought it was coming from the front, but no, it's coming from the back now, because he literally just switched it around. I think that's like extremely badass. It makes his shots borderline unpredictable unless you have future sight, and I think that's where the Usopp versus Van Auger fight in the future will become incredibly insane. But going into number 9, we have Fujitori's Zushi no Mi. In other words, the ability to manipulate gravity. So while Law is within his room, any objects he cuts or slices are then able to be completely manipulated by him. He showcased this first when he was fighting Smoker and Punk Hazard, and the anime really did highlight it in episode 1017, which was incredible, by the way. If you guys haven't watched 1017, bro, go watch that episode, please. And what makes this so crazy is that it's literally an admiral's main ability. Like, Fujitora is an admiral. To manipulate gravity is something that is on caliber with some of the strongest fruits in the series. Like, if someone said that the Fujitori's fruit was top 1 in the series, out of every single fruit, I wouldn't even question it, because similar to Van Auger, Law can only manipulate objects within his room, but Fujitora has access to the fucking moon. And going into number 8, we have Buggy's Chop fruit. So initially when I made my whole thread on Twitter, I didn't even notice Law had any access to any aspect of Buggy's fruit. Someone had to comment that and remind me. So basically, how Buggy's able to separate his limbs, Law can do the exact same thing, only not to himself but to other people. Just the way that Law can cut someone and they take no damage from the cut, he essentially makes them have Buggy's Chop fruit. Because how Buggy gets cut by a swordsman and takes no damage from it, Law does that to another person. But unlike Buggy, what makes Law's ability or aspect of his ability so broken is that whenever Buggy cuts himself, he's basically immune to being cut any further, taking damage by anything else. But when Law cuts one of these fodder or whatever, they can still be hit by other things. Buggy, on the other hand, will be completely immune to any kind of damage at all, from any kind of swords, period. And with number 7, we have Bartolomeo's Barrier Fruit. So Law's antibacterial curtain basically allows him to create a temporary barrier for himself. The main benefit of this being to, of course, protect himself from damage. It's not nearly as strong as Bartolomeo's barrier, because we've never seen Bartolo's barrier be broken at all. And unlike Bartolomeo's barrier, Law's curtain was shown to be a little bit more fragile. But even then, Law was able to resist her a fair amount of time. So with Big Mom being a Yonko, of course, for Law to be able to resist her at all with the barrier is pretty insane. But nevertheless, at number 6, we have Enel's Goro no Mi. aka the ability to manipulate lightning. So Law's counter shock ability gives him a small window into manipulating lightning and or electricity, and Law's awakening gives him access to the shock willy. Both of these attacks are able to just manipulate lightning to a small extent, so I figured I'd put Ino's Girl no Mi in here because it definitely is something that Law can control. And at number 5, we have Viola's Gyro no Mi, which is hilarious, going from the Girl no Mi to the Gyro no Mi. Basically, Viola can see through objects at very, very far distances. Law has an ability called Scan that allows him to see through the human body at short distances. So it's a very small variation of Viola's fruit, but they can basically do the exact same thing, only Law, of course, having a much weakened version of Viola's fruit. And so at number 4, we have Kid's Electromagnetic fruit. So this one, I will admit, is a bit of a stretch. I have to make the top 10 because it's a YouTube video and it sounds better for YouTube, right? Top 10 fruits Law can manipulate. That sounds really, really cool. So I figured I would just go for it anyways. Basically, Gamma is an element that uses electromagnetic waves, right? And Law's Gamma knife allows him to, what we can assume, manipulate Gamma to a very small extent using his Gamma knife. So Gamma as an element of radiation wouldn't exist without some level of electromagnetic influence. Because Law can use Gamma, which wouldn't exist without electromagnetism, we have to give him credit in regards to Kid's fruit. We're finally on to the top 3. At number 3, we have Big Mom's Soul Fruit. Remember back in Punk Hazard when Law switched the souls of the Straw Hats, forcing them to swap their bodies and their personalities? Yeah, how could you ever forget? I mean, he definitely never did that again, which is hilarious. But being able to manipulate souls at all, basically, is Big Mom's entire fruit. I don't think I really have to put much more into that. So at number 2, we have Brook's Revive no Mi. Okay, so similar to the number 4 on this list, this one is a bit of a stretch, but some people in my Twitter replies were enlightening me upon this, and I didn't even notice it at first. It was a bit of a surprise to me as well. So basically, because Law can perform the immortality surgery, it really mimics how Brook's fruit works, because Brook's fruit allowed him to return from death as a skeleton and essentially become immortal. Law would have to risk his own life to give immortality to someone else, when Brook would lose his own life to give himself immortality. This parallel or dynamic is really cool to me. It's like a small spin on Brook's fruit concept, but at the end of the day, it's like the same exact thing in a sense. So I don't think if you're immortal with Law's fruit, if you get, so for example, if Law gave Doflamingo the immortal surgery, I don't know if that would mean that Doflamingo would still age from like the perspective of like his like human body, for example. So I don't know if it's exactly like Brook's fruit when it's like you as a skeleton stay alive, because then that would mean he literally has Brook's fruit in its entirety, right? But I think it literally just gives them eternal youth, essentially. Law's immortality surgery. And coming up at number 1, I think we had to save the best for last, right? Corazone's Quiet fruit. So with Law's R room, it gives him the ability to basically create a small room across or around a person, and when that person is within that room, they can't say anything. No objects in that room make any noise. They are completely silent. This is the exact same thing that Corazon can do, bar for bar. And what makes this number 1, because it's literally, not only does Law have Corazon's fruit, he has an even better version of it, because we saw that Law was able to keep Big Mom silent from a far distance. So when Big Mom was falling, Law was still able to keep the room surrounding her. Because she couldn't contact her homies within that room, this is basically what led to her ultimate downfall. And I think it's pretty poetic as well for Law to be able to use Corazon's fruit. That's amazing given their dynamic, you know. But that's gonna be it for me, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. But that's about it for me. Thank you guys so much. Take care.